Hey guys, we're going to take a look at how to cache images in React Native. This is something you might want to consider doing for a couple of reasons. The first is if your user is offline, it would be nice if they were able to still see the images in your app, and they can if you cache them. And secondly, it loads faster. You don't have to make a request and download the image every time the user opens the app. They can just store it locally, and it'll be quicker for them for the image to pop up. So to do this, I'm going to show you how we can create a component that automatically caches images for us. Now, I'm using Create React Native App, and right here I have just the basic boilerplate. Nothing changed except I have an image here. So this is what it looks like if you want to display images in React Native. So I just gave it a style, 200 height, 200 width, so it shows up over here. And then I just set my source and I set the URI to just this cat image. So let's create a new component here that will automatically cache this URL. So we're going to create a new file called cacheimage.js, and this is going to be a React component, and this is going to be a React class. So cache image extends react.component. Alright, so we're going to have a render function, and in our render function we are just going to use the image from React Native. And we're going to store in our state what the URL is, or the source. So by default, the source is going to be null. And so we can return here an image. And really all I need to pass to this image is the your URI and maybe some style or some other attributes, but we'll worry about those later. So maybe style is coming from the props, so this .props.style. And then here we have the source, which I'm going to get from the state. Okay, so I have a really basic cache component here where we are getting a source from the state, and then we're going to update the state once we've cached the image. So the idea with caching images is we download the image and store it on the device. So we're going to create in our component didMount, we are going to create a function here where we check if we've already cached the image before, and if we have, we just go ahead and read it from the device. Otherwise, we download the image to the device, right? Because we need to cache it if it's the first time. So really the only way to know whether we've cached the device or not is to, or the URL, is to keep track of the URL that the user passes in. So we're going to pass in a URI to this. So I'm going to say const URI, and this is coming from this .props. Now there might be all kinds of things in this URI that are not safe to save your file in. So what I want to do is actually hash this into just a safe string. So I'm going to say const name, and I went ahead and already installed a library. In package.json I have one called short hash. So I'm going to import it from short hash. So what this does is if I do short hash.unique, this will create a unique string given a URI. So given the same string, it'll generate the same unique string. And the nice thing about this is now we don't have to worry about whatever garbage is in the URL. We now have a safe string name. So the name will now only contain like characters like this. I don't know if it also has numbers, but for example, we won't have like HTTP and have slashes at the front of our file name, right? Because we want to check whether this file, we've already saved this file before. So that's how I'm going to do it. So now I have a nice safe name. Now I want to check if this file is already on the device. So we are using Expo. That's what Create React Native App uses. So they have this file system, and this library, or this component, or object I suppose, we can use, there's this thing called get Info Async, and one of the options is to see whether a URI exists, or the name of the file exists. So let's go ahead and import that. Oops. So import file system from Expo. Now the other nice thing about Expo, so we're going to just create a path right here to our file. So we don't want to just specify, and I'm going to do string template here. So we don't want to just specify our name. We also want to store this in the correct directory. So if we do file system, one of the things we can get is the cache directory. And the cache directory already has a slash at the end, so that's why I don't have cache directory / the name of the file. But this is a directory that Expo already has set up that is for caching files, exactly what we're doing here. So we want to store it here, and so this is the path to the file if the file were to exist, right? So the cache directory and then the name of the file. So now we're going to just check if it exists. So this is going to be our image. It's asynchronous, so we're going to wait it. File system dot get info async, and then here we just pass in what the path is. So now we're going to check if the image dot exists. So if it exists, one of the attributes given back to us is just the exact URI, and this is pointing on the device itself. So we can just now this dot set state have source is going to be image dot URI. Otherwise, and we can return. So so here's the case where we've already cached the image. So we get the info, we check if it exists, we know it exists, then we just set the state given the URL that's already on the disk. Alright, so now here's the case underneath here is going to happen is if we've never cached the file before. This is the first time we're seeing it. In that case, we need to download it. And file system has a very nice function also to help us with this. It's called, I believe, here it is, download async. So file system.download async. We specify the thing we want to download and then the name that we want to download it to. So I'm going to say const new image is equal to await file system.async and download, and then I'm going to specify the URI given, and then the path is where we want it to save to. And then after that, we now have the file on our computer, or not on our computer, but on our device. So then we can just say this.setState, and we're just going to set the source. So new image.uri, and we set that equal. And we're good to go. So now I can just do a console log here, and I can say console.log read image from cache, or we can put a console log here downloading image to cache. So now we can see when these things are happening. So let's go ahead and use our cache image now because it's good to go. We're going to pass in a URI to it, and let's just real quick recap what's happening. So we're going to pass in as a prop the location of the file on the internet. We're going to hash it so it has a nice, and here I'll just console log what the name is so you guys can see that too. This is just a nice little easy short string. Short hash makes it short, which I like as well. So here we're just specifying the path to the file if it exists, and we're checking whether it exists by calling this get info async, and now we have check if it exists. If it does, we read it from cache. Otherwise, we have to go download it, and we're going to download it, and this is where we're going to download it to, and this is where to download it from. And then here we just update our state because it's now in it, we know. Alright, so here actually we need to first use it over here. So instead of source, we just pass in the URI, and just like that. And so this is going to be cache image. So import cache image from cache image. Alright. I don't know. I don't see any console logs. I think I just need to refresh it over here. Failed to build. Let's reload. Okay, so we're just completely failing. And I don't know if it's because I just have like a syntax error somewhere and it's not telling me. I'm just going to try restarting my Expo. Be right back. Okay, so it wasn't a problem with Expo. I just forgot to make this function asynchronous, and I was using await. So I added ESLint also so I could see the little red stuff when I was making errors. Yeah, so let's go ahead and see this. So you guys just saw the cat appear. So here is that. That is the name of the hash that we created. So that's what this thing is right here. So you'll notice it's a nice little short string that we're using for the file name. So here it says downloading image to cache. So now if I refresh this, we should read the image from the cache itself. Now you'll notice we get the same name here. That's because it's hashing it. So given the same URI, we're going to get the same hash, which is exactly what we want. So cool. So this is how I would do caching with images. Let's go ahead and just reformat this. I think I was just missing some commas and stuff. Oh, it doesn't like because I don't have the JSX extension. I didn't change that in my ESLint. But anyway, the other way I've seen image caching done is with there is a prefetch option for images, but that doesn't always work, and it seems to be really finicky. And I looked up some things on Stack Overflow, and they said it doesn't even work at all on iOS. And this seems to be a much more solid method, is to just go ahead and install the images yourself and not worry about prefetching the image with the image component. So this is what I like a lot. Let me know what you guys think of this. I think what I'm going to do is actually, I could see myself using this in a couple different projects because it's very easy to just pop in, right? Because I now just use this instead of regular image, and I pass in the URI like that. So I think I'm going to make this into a separate npm package. Now before I do that, I need to clean it up a little bit because I think since I did this in component did mount, if I were to change what this URI is, I don't think it would update, right? Because we only the component only mounts once. So I want to clean that up and also try coding this up in TypeScript, and then put this on the npm, make this into an npm package, which I'm gonna have to figure out because I've never published an npm package. So that is what the future is gonna hold for us. That's what I'm gonna do the next few days, is get this working. So that's it for this video, guys. Hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching.